Hi, I'm Travis Jones, and I'm very proud today to show you speed fingers. We're going to start with the elements of speed fingers. We have the solid body frame, which is 3.5 inches wide by 6 inches in length. Perfect and very easy to fit into your pocket. We have an angle measuring arm, and then we have our level bubbles, which is inserted into the solid body frame. We have the markings, angle markings, and measure increments all the way around. We have our spacing fingers, and then on the back side, left-hand side, we have the 3/4 inch lip for squaring, and those are the features of speed fingers. Speed fingers can be used in many different scenarios for the craftsman. I have one scenario set up here to where you're trying to build a wall with a 6x6 and you have two different angles. I have the 6x6 going downhill and one 6x6 is level. So that creates an angle here, a gap. And then the 6x6 going downhill also bears back to the right, so it creates another angle going back and forth this way. So with speed fingers, all I have to do is simply loosen my measuring arm, slide it on the level side of the 6x6, push up flush against the 6x6 that's dropping off downhill, tighten my wing nut, make sure everything's flush, make sure it's snug, and then I'll simply transition that mark from my measuring angle arm onto the piece of material that I'm going to be using. Then we have a second angle that we have to figure out. I'll take the speed fingers measuring arm, flip it around, put the speed fingers on top of the level 6x6, stick the arm in between the 6x6, flush it up, tighten my wing nut, and I have another perfect angle that I'm going to transfer on to the 6x6, and all of this is done in a matter of seconds with no doubt what the angle is whatsoever, and it's a perfect angle every time. Another scenario for speed fingers is you have a truss, a home that you're trying to put trusses on, cut angles, whatever. We have our roof line here, center roof line, and then we have our trusses meeting. Sometimes you have a straight truss that has one angle, but on this particular truss it comes in at a different angle, so we have two angles on it too. We go down this side for an angle and the top for an angle. But to start with, we may even need to see if our center truss is level before we even start trying to cut the angles for the truss. And by having our level bubble in speed fingers, we can simply tell that we're level here, so then we can transition to make and find our angles for the truss. To start with, I'm going to get the first angle across the top here from where it comes in at a different direction. I'll simply put speed fingers on the flat side of the truss and put my measuring arm right here to where it flushes up with the top truss, tighten down, and then I would simply slide this back and draw a transition line on my truss to give me this angle. And then to get the other angle, loosen here, and I will come here, flush it up against the top truss, tighten it down, and then move back and where the other angles I've already marked, draw it here to where they meet up, and then I've got two perfectly drawn angles for when I cut. It's going to slide right against the top truss, and there's no questions of whether the angle is going to have gaps or be the right angle, because there's no way to get a wrong angle with speed fingers. Speed fingers can also be used as simple tasks such as just squaring and marking of materials. Square material, just simply mark a straight line, square it with the edge, or if I need to draw a reliable mark all the way down the wood, I simply place my pencil inside the fingers and mark, and I have a straight, consistent line all the way down the material that whenever I cut it, it'll be straight. Another demonstration I'm going to do here is simply plumbing a wall to a string line. There's a couple different ways we can do this with speed fingers. One way is simply to take for wider angles or wider gaps, whatever, we can take speed finger pivot arm, angle measuring arm off, slide it in the tool, and run it against the string line, and see that the string and the wall are the total same distance apart all the way down the wall. Or if we don't like that way, we can simply put all the fingers back in, put the pivot arm back on, screw it back down, get the fingers out that we need, slide the fingers down in here. We know that's a little bit too wide, so we take and put one finger back, and we just run the arm all the way down, and we can get the same effect by using either way. This goes to show the versatile ways that speed fingers can be used. Speed fingers can also be used for the gapping and the measuring, finding angles of other materials such as pavers. For instance, I have an example set up here. We're laying a paver walkway, patio, whatever. And when I lay my pavers down, I have these gaps in between the pavers. Well, it's hard to figure out what those gaps exactly are. So all I have to do is take my spacing fingers out, place them in here until I get the exact gap. And all I do is I'll mark, crap, I'll have to redo this. I'll mark that gap space right here, and I simply flip my speed fingers over, draw the line, and then I'll make the cut. After I've made the cut, with pavers, you're supposed to have an 1/8 of an inch gap in between the pavers. Here is the cut. It's too close together to that because it's not gap. But with the speed fingers, I can simply take my 1/8 of an inch wide measuring finger, stick it in there, and I have a perfect 1/8 of an inch gap in between my pavers like it's supposed to be. Or if you was doing something else and you needed a 3/8, 1/2 inch, 5/8, whatever the gap needs to be, I simply take my fingers and stick them in there to get the exact gap. This represents another example. I simply have a 6x6 post here, and the example you may be, or the project you may be doing is decking. Well, to level the post up, you need a level and to level the post. Well, with speed fingers, I simply take and drive 2 nails in the 6x6 post, hang my speed fingers on the nails, and now then I have both hands free to level the 6x6 up without the help of others.